show, so why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, and welcome to our co-host, Ken Jeffries. How you doing, Ken?
Hi there. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon, actually, now.
It is?
Yeah, I've been
true.
working in several time zones this past
Depending on what time zone you are in. That's right. Ken Jeffries has some new duties on KABC Radio. You can hear
Moving on up.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. The big time. So what generally are your hours when people can hear you?
It's the middle of the night. I get to keep people in the ER company.
Excellent. That's important. Keep them awake.
Truckers and stuff like that. But it's fun, having a good time.
Excellent. And our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes. How are you doing, Connor?
Very well. Happy to be here as always.
The back is improving.
Oh, yeah.
We need speaking
I'm
of
in
ER,
fighting shape.
we need a medical update.
Put this show on my back.
Okay.
I carry it.
So,
well, it's about time because you weren't here last week.
Oh, it's true. You're right.
As always, we're going to have our fun features moron of the week. We're going to have a moron at the top of the show, describe a stupid person at the end, and then we'll vote on who the stupidest person of the week is. And we're also going to play Guess the Verdict, where the guys put their game show hats on and they get to guess the outcome of some intriguing legal cases. And, of course, then we'll get into the big stories of the week, the Manafort plea deal, poor Senator Collins from Maine, a victim of extortion from crowdfunding. Yep, exactly right. So let's kick it off, guys, with Moron of the Week. And I think we've got a pretty good candidate for Moron of the Week here on the show. It's the woman who insisted on being called doctor. You followed this story this week?
No. Did she have a doctorate degree?
Yes, she had a doctorate. She has a P.H.D. in aging and family care, so she's not an MD.
Oh, okay, but a
She
PhD.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
D in that.
But guess what?
Yeah.
I and you are Juris Doctor recipients. When you
JD,
go to law
sure.
school, you get
Yeah.
the JD. Connor, do you know any lawyer who is so arrogant that he says, "Well, I'm a doctor. You'll call me Dr. Smith." Do you know anybody like that?
Fortunately, no.
No.
Can I ask you, how come,
Yes.
don't most lawyers call themselves Esquire?
That's a
Yes.
traditional little suffix that you tack on after the name, so that people who read the name John Smith, Esquire, they know, oh, that guy's a lawyer. We hate him.
Both you guys really are Esquires.
And we subscribe to the magazine.
The magazine,
yes,
too.
absolutely.
I'm Royal Oakes Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair,
Connor's
yeah.
Esquire. No, but really, I mean, to me, it's really ridiculous when people, just because you happen to have a Ph.D. You remember Dr. Laura passed herself off, I guess, as a shrink psychiatrist. Her Ph.D. was in physiology or something, kinesiology.
Like that,
Nothing against those fields, but you know,
the deception is the problem when you're holding yourself out as a medical doctor. That's very different. If you're my friend, very good friend Dan Killam, and you're the preeminent clam expert basically on the planet, at least in my understanding, and he goes to a clam conference, and he says doctor, everyone knows, okay, he's talking about clams.
And so a lot of PhDs, who are not MDs, are appropriately called doctor, but this lady crossed the line. I think her name is Siobhan O'Dwyer. She has this PhD in aging and family care, whatever the hell that is. She goes on an airplane, and the folks look at her passport, and it says Dr. So-and-so, and they call her Miss. And she goes ballistic. You don't call me Miss, she says. I didn't go to school for 8 years to be called Miss. Now, I think maybe she was having kind of a bad day. And then she has the audacity to say, after people are tweeting or beating her up on Twitter, this was not about my ego. It wasn't, Siobhan. I think it was about your ego.
I think if I was on a plane and they called me Miss, I wouldn't go that ballistic. I would roll with it, lady.
No.
Come on, roll with it.
She's a horse's patoot.
Well, the other thing is, it's a good thing they didn't ask if there's a doctor on the plane. If somebody had a medical emergency, said, "Oh yeah, I am."
Oh my goodness,
sure.
This person's having a heart attack. Is there somebody on the plane that has a PhD in aging and family care?
Can you generally speak to broad trends in the age of our population and how to to care for them moving forward?
Pretty wild.
How Social Security is going to hold up?
Yes, you could.
Yes,
a huge shift in our life could be happening, guys. You know how Trump is dedicated to the Twitter feed, and in his defense, it probably is the best way for him to get his message unfiltered to the world.
Horrifyingly, yeah.
If you relied on New York Times, CNN, and so on, I don't think they would give it quite the oomph that he gives it. So, but of course, he says so many stupid things on Twitter that there's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
But the news this week, and I don't know if you followed this, he is rolling out video tweets. Have you heard about this?
Oh, God, no, please.
He stands out by the Rose Garden.
Video tweets?
Yeah, the New York Times is reporting on this just yesterday. He stands in the Rose Garden, he looks up at the camera, and he basically rants for about 30 seconds. It's a video version of his text tweets.
Wow.
And apparently, I don't think he's going to give up the regular tweet, but this is a new tool in the toolkit for him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that he would avoid or get rid of his ability to relieve himself of these tweets while he relieves himself in the morning.
While he relieves himself.
Which is, of course, his ritual.
That would make for an interesting video tweet right there. Right.
Just Facebook Live video, just sort of, hey guys, this is me. What's that tile in the background?
So speaking of angry people, Serena Williams, of course, really ticked off in her mind being accused of cheating in the big finals of the tournament, where the Japanese player ended up beating her. And so there's been a big kerfuffle. Some of the referees actually are going to boycott. They're saying, a bunch of them, we will not work Serena's matches. And they kicked McEnroe out of a major when he was a pro.
John McEnroe,
and that meant hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and so he actually cleaned up his act. So I think they're probably trying to intimidate her.
Yeah, but that's probably true.
There was an interesting piece listing the various types of tennis problems, fouls, violations, and most of them are men, not so much by women. For example, racket abuse. She smashed her racket, and you see some guys smash them. 646 men committed racket abuse, only 99 women.
Committed racket abuse.
Committed racket abuse. There's the audible obscenity, 345 guys, 140 women.
Nice.
But compare that with the visible obscenity. Now, would visible obscenity be mouthing a bad word, or would it be holding up a hand and perhaps,
Yeah, that's probably it.
Now, the next most common foul is ball abuse. 49 men. 49 men. Why are we laughing?
That sounds
painful,
this is a serious
topic, guys.
It's a serious topic.
Fouls in professional tennis. Ball abuse. 49 men, 35 women. I'm surprised that 35 women were guilty of ball abuse. Aren't you?
I need to learn more about this tennis foul. Let me Google ball abuse and see what happens.
Coaching, default, doubles attire, no. Not talking to the press. The women outnumbered the guys there. 10 women wouldn't talk to the media, 6 guys, and so they got a foul for that. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Anyway, it's a brave new world out there on the court, and Serena's, she's going to...
There's something else to that, too, and I don't know if you followed it. Somebody did a political cartoon, and I think it was in Australia.
Yes.
Paul Conrad?
What's his name? I don't know.
He's the dead Los Angeles Times cartoonist.
So probably not.
No, not Paul Conrad. I'm sorry. No.
There we go.
No, it's not. No, but it was I think in Australia, and they portrayed Serena Williams with thick lips.
It was described as a caricature, a racial.
I saw it. I looked at it, and it's to me it's kind of borderline whether or not it's a caricature. But I'm not black, so I don't
probably
know.
Roseanne Barr drew it. I know Jim Carrey is getting a lot of press for his cartoons that are very progressive, very anti-Republican types. So, guys, let's get to our fun game, Guess the Verdict. You're so good at it. You guys are almost batting 1,000.
Guilty.
I think so.
Hang them.
Chill.
Yeah, you got to wait to hear the facts.
It's a 50-50 chance.
That's true. You're right.
Case number 1. Alameda County woman is concerned about the environment. She refuses to paint her house with oil-based or water-based paint. Instead, chooses a milk-based paint, billed as natural and ecology-friendly. After her house was painted, she detected a sickening, nauseating odor, which she claimed resulted in illness, suing the manufacturer of the paint. Guys, guess the verdict here. Who won, the paint company or the lady who was nauseated by her milk-based paint?
I think if I'm on that jury and she bought a milk-based paint, she knew what she was getting into. At the same time, I think She probably wins.
No, I think the paint. First of all, they make a milk-based paint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not anymore. They don't.
And if they use evaporated milk, it disappears after about a week.
Powdered
That's a very
milk,
ineffective
carnation.
Something like
become
that.
contented cows.
So, what do you think, Ken? Who won? Paint company or the lady?
Well, is there a thing on the paint that says, "Hey, caution,
No
this thing
warning.
is sour"?
Smells terrible.
No warnings. No.
I guess the paint company won.
Did
You're
Gwyneth
right.
Paltrow sell this paint?
Goop. She's into goop. You guys are both right. The paint company wins. Case number 2, a convenience store customer in Minnesota is assaulted in the store's parking lot while the employees stood by and watched. The victim sued the store, saying the workers had a duty to call 911. The victim sued the store for damages. So comes to a trial. Who wins, 7-Eleven or the person who was beaten up in the parking lot while the employees stood by and watched?
Does it being a 7-Eleven parking lot change the default rule? Because in the default rule in America, and this is different in lots of other countries, like Canada and Europe usually, and I think even Mexico has different rules about this, but in the U.S., it's not your job. You don't have to save anybody from anything. If you see somebody drowning in 2 inches of water because they're disabled or old or a child or something, you can walk by,
literally walk away,
point and laugh
just
if you
laugh.
want. There's not illegal.
You can have the empathy of a Donald Trump.
Yeah, but if you step in to help a little bit, then you incur a duty.
Yeah.
Then there are special relationships where if you're a cop or if you're somebody's, relative or something, you might get a duty.
Is there a Good Sam law that kicks in?
There are Good Sam laws that protect people who try and mess things up. If you try and save somebody who's stranded by the side of the road.
Can't sue somebody for negligence.
Right, exactly. But in this situation, is a convenience store clerk enough of and customer, is that a relationship that creates a duty to protect them?
Well, you've laid out the facts well, Professor Dershowitz. Now, what's your guess?
Esquire.
I think because the convenience store clerks so frequently carry guns to protect the store, I think there is going to be a duty created in this scenario.
Ken, what do you say?
Oh, I'll agree with Connor, but I'm not.
Yes.
I'm
You're
not,
going to be wrong.
But I'm not sure why.
Unfortunately, you're both wrong. No
I wanted
obligation
it to be true.
to call 911. No obligation to call the police. One judge dissented, saying the employee should call the cops rather than pulling up seats for a ringside view. But he was the angry dissenter. All right, third and final case, guys. James McGrath is charged with a string of bank robberies in lovely San Fernando. His defense is he stole the money to warn the public of a coming thermonuclear attack by the Japanese. He also said the Lord commanded him to rob banks and that God told him to use gloves and disguises. So,
God's good at this. Yeah, that's
what do you
good
think?
advice.
His lawyer says, ladies
The Lord
and gentlemen
works-
of the jury,
The Lord
in
works in
mysterious ways. Insanity defense is what was offered up. So who wins?
Does
the
he
prosecutor?
count as insane?
That's the question. Did the guy get convicted, or did they let him off because he's nuts?
I think that he's still convicted because even though he's wrong about the state of the world, God is not telling him. He understands the nature and quality of the act he's doing. He knows it's a crime. He knows he's committing a crime. He knows it's against the law. And even though God is saying do it, then that part of him is crazy. He's completely sane as to the act. He knows it's a bank.
Maybe the son of Sam could argue the same thing in New York, where he was told that Sam was a dog, right? Wasn't Sam a dog?
Yeah.
I think the David Berkowitz
was killed by a dog. So if he was crazy in the sense that he didn't know it was a bank, didn't know he was stealing, didn't know that he was hurting people, those are crazy things that should get you off.
The thermonuclear attack by the Japanese is also kind of crazy.
Not quite enough, I think.
Okay. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, I agree with him.
Not crazy.
Yeah, he's not crazy. Yeah. So when we come back, we are going to talk about the Manafort story, but also, we've been beating up on Trump a little bit here, and I got to confess the reason I've been down on him is that, yes, I'm halfway through the Bob Woodward book, Fear, about Donald Trump. And I got to tell you, it's similar to all of the other books. He has no empathy, and he has this raging temper and so on. But the thing I take away from it is that it's not that big a deal who's in the White House, because his staff is running the country. And that's why some decent things have happened under the Trump administration. The people who are expert in energy and military stuff and immigration and justice, they are making the decisions. They present options to him, and he does not have that big an input.
Speaking of energy, he put this expert, Rick Perry, at the top of the Department of Energy, who wanted to destroy the Department of Energy.
But he looks smarter with his glasses. Stay with us, folks. We're going to talk Manafort when we come back.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com. 310-873-4422.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer. You listen to me every week on the Sports Lounge. Well, I'm here to tell you my good friend and co-host, Michael Horn, is making his wine knowledge and his incredible industry contacts available to you. Mike will educate you in the world of wines. He will stock your wine cellar, wine refrigerator, or wine rack with one-of-a-kind wines. Also, as a lover of a great glass of port, I will share with you my experiences in finding the cigars that fit your palate. I will help you stock your humidor with great cigars that reflect your growing taste and the very best smokes for your budget. Mike and I can set up a once-in-a-lifetime wine dinner, and I can host a sports cigar party. Call us today at 818-818-6400. That's 818-818-6400. Let us find the dream wines and cigars of your lifetime.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our co-host, our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes. So, guys, we're going to get to Manafort, but we were talking about some interesting stuff off the air. I want to clue folks in on this. Just in, breaking news: Ann Coulter apparently has a theory as to who wrote the sneaky, secret, mysterious New York Times op-ed piece slamming Trump, saying, "I love what the Trump administration has done, ticking off a bunch of really right-wing, solid accomplishments that he or she says he likes, but also saying Trump's a maniac." So, what's Ann Coulter's theory?
Yeah, I think if I read it right, she said, if I remember reading it right, that Jared Kushner.
Jared from Subway. Yes.
I thought you meant Jared from Subway. Yeah.
Jared from, well, he could have written it too.
That's true. Could have co-sponsored.
Literally anyone. You know, they've got these computer programs that can analyze your writing, and that's how they outed this fellow Klein, the New York, the Newsweek reporter who wrote Primary Colors, the Clinton-esque novel, because the computer can tell, because he's written 100 things for Newsweek, he's written one book, and they put it together, no doubt, and then he admitted it.
And that's the thing. He's written 100 pieces for Newsweek and an entire book, and maybe the computer can slam those together. With an op-ed, I mean, it's one
although
long.
Didn't they say in the beginning, because I think the word lodestone was in the op-ed, that they thought it was Pence.
Yeah.
What did I say, lodestar?
Lodestar, yeah.
Lodestar.
But no, it's funny you mentioned that, because Connor and I were talking about the other day. Yeah. I am, in reading the Bob Woodward book about Trump, there is a quotation from Wilbur Ross, who's named Wilbur. Okay, what is he? 180 years old.
Ed,
Nobody born in the 20th century is named Wilbur, but he was. So he's the Secretary of Commerce. He's a multimillionaire, And he is quoted as using the word lodestar in this book. And I looked at it and I thought, but that's a word that hardly anybody ever uses. Who uses lodestar? That's as common as Wilbur.
Yeah.
And that's in the op-ed piece. So I'm thinking, I've solved it. Royal solved it. It's Wilbur Ross. But you were saying somebody else uses lodestar, too.
Mike Pence. Other people have pointed out that word specifically.
I wouldn't guess Mike Pence would use the word lodestar.
No, it's weird, right? Because I don't believe he's an attorney. Now, lodestar is used a lot of times in law. So it also put people's hackles up about, maybe the person who...
What does it mean? What does it mean?
A guiding light. It means the thing that
important factor.
Yeah, it's the thing that we all measure other things against. So, like in law, it comes up because the lodestar method is saying, well, let's compare attorney's fees in one sphere to attorney's fees in the other sphere. And so it's the same thing, like, are these fair prices, right? And in the op-ed, it was John McCain. He was the light by which everyone else was measured in terms of civility and crossing the aisle, et cetera, and blah, blah, blah. He's a war hero, et cetera. So that's why they used it. Does anyone but a lawyer use it? I guess the Secretary of Economics does, or Secretary of Commerce does.
I can't see Vice President Pence doing it. Plus, it would be so dangerous for Pence, who would benefit so dramatically and directly from the ousting of Trump. Oh boy, I get to be president. For him to do that with the New York Times, and how could he, of all people,
trust the New York Times?
Trust the New York Times. They see him as Satan.
Yep.
So I'm guessing it isn't. But it could be Jared from Subway, from prison. We just don't know. Manafort is in the news this week, and I don't know if people really expected this or not. He was convicted at his first trial. His next trial was due to start in Washington, D.C. in about a week, and so he sits down with Bob Mueller and says, Bob, can we talk?
Buddy.
So he was looking at 60 years or so behind bars. I think the deal is he's cooperating, and if he really, really cooperates a lot, he could get very little behind bars.
And that the element of whether cooperation was included in the agreement was kept secret until the very last minute. And a lot of people said to themselves, that's because Mueller didn't want Trump to issue a last-second pardon right before and then have Manafort be able to walk away from the deal. And knowing that Manafort was cooperating with them would make it more likely that Trump would pull the trigger on that. And the other element is the pardon-proof nature of this Manafort deal, right? People have been describing the deal as pardon-proof as possible, and everyone goes, what does pardon-proof even mean? And, well...
Like lodestar.
Exactly, right?
Lodestar,
well, if Trump's pardon power is ineffective, then he can't make Manafort shut up and keep the goods to himself, right? And the way that Mueller did that is he had Manafort plead guilty to a whole bunch of state charges in Washington, Florida, California, Virginia for money laundering and all these other financial crimes. And as a result, Trump can't pardon state crimes.
So
only
the presidential
crimes.
Pardon rule only applies to federal crimes. And so we've been thinking of the pardon as just so all-encompassing and sweeping, but I guess it isn't quite the tool.
So if Trump tries to pardon him, then the states can go after him. So it's not really a protection for the guy.
Yeah. Well, a question I want to probe when we come back from our next break is, what is it that Manafort is going to be able to say in terms of flipping to throw Trump under the bus? He was at the Trump Tower meeting in June 2016 with Jared from Subway and also Don Jr., but he's also got these incredible Russian tentacles.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this when we come back on The Royal Oak Show. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show.
Looking for an intimate, romantic getaway? Escape to Maui's premier bed and breakfast, The Plantation Inn, a quiet oasis in the heart of Lahaina town. Guest rooms and suites offer Hawaiian plantation decor, combined with modern amenities, and surrounded a serene courtyard with a pool, jacuzzi, and lush tropical foliage. The inn is located just steps from Lahaina's historic Front Street for an easy stroll to museums, galleries, shops, and restaurants. Call 667-9225 or visit theplantationinn.com and plan your getaway now. now.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Newsflash, the president has changed the tax laws, and now you may be able to pay the IRS less. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, the tax doctor can help you pay the IRS as little as possible allowed by law. There are new tax laws for business owners, the self-employed, even W-2 workers. If you have a back tax problem or a few years of unfilled returns, new help to save you money is now here. Call right now to see how the new tax laws can help you. Plus, right now, we'll waive the consultation fee and give you a free tax savings report. Attention business owners, the self-employed, and W-2 workers. Make this free call to the tax doctor now and learn how to take advantage of the new tax laws that may help you pay the IRS less. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. That's 800-985-1610. The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it. Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315. That's 800-378-3315.
Destination South Point. 11 great restaurants, bingo, bowling, movies, race books, sports books, spa, live entertainment, oversized rooms, and the rates unbeatable. The South Point Las Vegas. Book now. Online at southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. At the South Point Las Vegas, you're always a winner.
Back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes.
Hey,
and Glenn Campbell, too.
Yeah, Glenn. Can I say hi to Doug McIntyre?
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug. Doug McIntyre, who was maybe watching this a little bit.
Thank you so much.
He liked us on Facebook today, so
absolutely.
We like you right back.
You know, that's what we're doing it for, you know, is Doug's like.
We're building our audience one by one.
Yeah.
So guys,
Thanks,
the plea deal by Manafort, this is weird. I didn't realize it, but part of the deal is his ostrich jacket and his suits go to Mueller. So Mueller is going to be striding around the mall in Washington like a peacock, wearing all of
work at NBC,
and poor Manafort has to just wear Men's Warehouse stuff
and eat gruel.
Do you, if you haven't started the Bob Woodward book, then you haven't seen that in the White House they would call Sean Spicer Mr. Men's Warehouse to ridicule him because his suits were so bad. You remember there was about 4 inches between his neck and the back of his suit, and they were too long.
Has anyone seen Trump's suits? You can't talk crap
his ties are a little long.
Yeah, and the jackets are huge and baggy.
Maybe his ties have different functions that we don't know about,
I have no idea.
And I won't go there.
So help me out with this, guys. What is it that Manafort, he committed all these financial crimes, and he's connected with the Ukrainian guy. What is it we think that maybe he would have to throw Trump under the bus about? The Russia connection is there, as we talked about a minute ago. He was at the Ukrainians, right? He was at the June 2016 meeting with Trump Tower, and Trump lied about characterizing what the purpose of it was in terms of adoptions versus getting Hillary. But basically, Trump is going to end up sticking to the idea that this is Oppo research. Somebody says we've got dirt on Hillary. Is it really a federal case? Well, maybe it is. To try to get it.
Yeah.
But the New York Times is talking about Trump's connections with the Russian oligarchs. He worked for years in Ukraine with Konstantin Kalminnik. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. A business transaction with Deripaska, another Russian oligarch. I guess the idea is that potentially the connections with Russia were so deep and so profound that Trump may have been involved in the whole Manafort effort, and they're going to build on that and somehow establish collusion, not just obstruction, but collusion as well?
Yeah, it sort of goes to the bizarre and insidious nature of espionage and counter-espionage. We think of when somebody's a spy in a movie, they're literally getting the paycheck from the company or from the country, and they're cashing it in their offshore account, and they're secretly doing spy stuff and handing secrets back over. But to be an asset, you're not on the payroll. You're just compromised in some way. That's this famous Russian word that the Russian intelligence agencies are famous for leveraging.
Glasnost.
Close. No. Compromat. Compromising material.
Compromat?
Compromat, yeah, with a K.
With a K with a...
When they got something on you, they own you.
Yeah, that's right.
So when they give all this money to Manafort while he's working for him in Ukraine, he does all this stuff with the Ukrainian government that kind of destroyed that country. Don't worry about it. He is their man. He is their guy on the inside. Maybe he sets up these sorts of meetings. Maybe he gets people in the room that matter and helps them turn Jared into an asset. He doesn't have to have a specific connection to Trump to not be or to be Russia's guy. And so just by being a man on the inside who's secretly owned by Russia or even by Ukraine, a proxy of Russia in this scenario, he can it's just as bad as if Trump was colluding. That's the idea.
Kind of like a Peter Sellers in the movie Being There, which was, the Chauncey guy, he was just there.
He up as president.
Almost like Zelig, he's the facilitator.
He's the fixer.
That was his role.
Another fixer, I guess. But it's possible this might be a reason, too, why Trump hasn't released his taxes. And I'm not saying that's true, that's the reason, but there could be so many connections between Trump and Russian. We don't know. Again, we don't know.
You could say a line item deduction, collusion money with Russia.
Or something like that. That's what it'd be on his taxes. Yeah, sure. But if he needed money, if Trump needed money and had no money to build hotels, where else would he go? Maybe.
Yeah,
Russian oligarchs would say, we're going to give you the money.
We got the Florida real estate that was purchased by a Russian oligarch for a ridiculous amount above its market price.
Mar-a-Lago, is it?
So I'm sure Bob Mueller is on all this, and perhaps Mueller will, that is, our friend Manafort will replace his suits with an orange jumpsuit.
Maybe.
You never know. Hey, let's switch gears to Judge Kavanaugh, guys, because you got to explain this to me. Big hearing, very contentious. What the hell? Dianne Feinstein has from July information that some teenage girl says when they were both in high school he was a sex abuser, and it's coming out now, and she won't reveal the name. She just reports it to the FBI after the hearings. If she had it, if this woman existed, why wouldn't Anita Hill style she have been brought forth, under the hot lights at the hearing?
Well, this is
Jacques Hughes. How come?
Well, because this woman was not willing to do that.
So what's she willing to do now?
I don't know.
Still unwilling? Presumably, she's still unwilling to go public. Because if she were willing to go public, don't you think Chuck Schumer and Senator Durbin? I'm sorry,
Durbin.
I said Turbin.
Yeah,
I meant Durbin.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have, shoved her to the front of the stage?
I mean, they maybe tried to shove her, but if she's completely unwilling, she's completely unwilling.
Well, so is this really going to stop if she's not going to come forward? I mean, because let's face it, in fairness, you have to be able to cross-examine.
Learn something.
Yeah. So
now, you're right. It's not going to stop him. Although, in fairness, to say in fairness, you got to be able to confront your accuser, is what you were going to say, right? That's the standard for a criminal trial. We're not putting the guy in jail. We're deciding whether we want him to be a judge on the highest court in the land. You can have as high a ridiculously high standard as you want for that position.
But no matter what you're talking about, dog catcher, Supreme Court, go to prison for life. It's fair to him, I think, for the person to give her name, to give facts, and to give him an opportunity to say, oh, Miss X is accusing me of Y, here's my response.
Well,
he can't do that.
How about this? It may be necessary for the FBI or for Feinstein and the other senators to know that information, but it might not be necessary for Connor Oaks in Los Angeles, California to know that.
It's necessary for Trump to know. But here's the thing that really pisses me off. And her name is... it's a pro-choice America group, and the head of the group says the following. A woman's identity should not have to be revealed to take her story seriously and pursue justice on her behalf. It's Elise Hogue is her name. The charge of sexual assault against Brett Kavanaugh is disqualifying, and we call on him to immediately withdraw his nomination for the Supreme Court. I think this is total crap. The idea that he is disqualified just because somebody says he did a terrible thing in high school, I mean, where does she come off saying that? This is total desperate. You can smell her desperation about seeing him on the Supreme Court, and oh my God, it's going to be the swing vote on abortion and affirmative action and same-sex marriage, everything else. That's her nightmare scenario, and she is willing to trash him without him having an opportunity.
This woman or really Feinstein in this case?
Well, so here's the thing. You're right. You are absolutely right that a bare accusation with no other evidence and no reason to believe...
There's a bear in the woods.
Right. That is never going to be enough to disqualify somebody because that would be too easy to fake and gin up.
Right.
But the allegation can be followed by an investigation and gathering of additional evidence because we do have some evidence. We have somebody saying this, right? Somebody
and the FBI's got it now.
Yeah, and the FBI has it.
But he'll be confirmed. He'll be probably long confirmed before then.
And that's the
maybe they'll put her in a room with J. Edgar Hoover and he'll pressure her. He's got hair on his neck and.
I agree with this woman that her identity does not need to be made public to everybody public in order to proceed with this investigation. And of course, I mean, we say, oh, Feinstein had this since July. That's no good. Leahy has had this for even longer than that.
Really?
Way longer than that. Guaranteed because
Patrick
from Vermont.
Yeah, from Vermont. He has busted out the 65-woman letter, the letter signed by 65 women who went to a high school, an all-women's high school, nearby Kavanaugh's high school, and said, look, these women he didn't sexually assault. Okay.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, he busted out a letter.
I haven't heard
signed
about
by 65 women, all of whom went to this high school. How long does it take to find the 65 women who went to this nearby high school?
Depends on whether they're hiding.
And to convince them to sign a letter and to have it all lined up and ready. They obviously knew this allegation was coming down the pike, and their explanation is nothing. Their explanation is, well, we just happened to have his high school classmates testifying on his behalf.
And here they are.
So just in case something about his past came out and we needed to bolster the credibility. No, that's crazy, and it's all irrelevant.
Let's get to the other wacky Kavanaugh story, and that is the extortion against poor Susie Collins. Okay, so this group, a crowdfunding website, has raised $1 million and change from 37,000 people. And so they've notified Senator Collins. Senator, we know you're busy, but when you run for re-election in 2020, the $1 million that was just raised, it will be pumped into the campaign of your opponent, whether that's Pee Wee Herman or whoever,
the devil himself.
You will be crushed if you vote for Kavanaugh. If you vote against Kavanaugh, that $1 million will go to charity or whatever. Do we think that's fair and legal? Some people are calling it extortion. Some people are calling it bribery of a senator. You can't do that. What do we think of that?
Here's the deal, conservatives. You turned money into speech with Citizens United, and you screamed that corporations were people. If you are going to cry, turn around and cry when the same exact thing happens to you, when money is leveraged against you, and you say, well, that seems unfair. Pumping all this money into politics and getting the bad result, I don't like it when the same exact tactic of turning money into free speech is used against me. Guess what? All these stupid people on the internet who are pledging, not actually giving yet, but pledging to give money to take down Susan Collins, thinking it's going to have any effect on her. No, she's bought and paid for.
Well, you're right.
There's no way.
Money is, the money is mother's milk of politics
for
both sides.
But
here's what the Wall Street Journal says. Federal law defines the crime of bribery as corruptly offering anything of value to a public official with the intent to influence an official act like a vote. The crowdfunders are offering something of value, withholding funds from her opponent in return for a specific confirmation vote. So maybe the crowdfunders deserve to be in prison with Manafort.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem with making money completely synonymous with speech.
Well, 2/3, it's all academic. It's all academic because here's the deal. 2/3 of Maine voters supported Susie Collins in her last election.
She's safe.
I'm just calling her Susie because
That's
I'm cozying up to her.
We're friends.
Yeah, so she's safe. Opponents will have their work cut out for them in 2020. And she has already come out saying, I've talked to lawyers, and they're telling me it is a form of extortion. So I don't think...
Well, what do I know? I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk rent control. Let's bring it back a little closer to home. My pal Catherine Barger, the one right of center supervisor on the board, isn't happy with this, but the other 4 supervisors want to cap rent increases at 3% a year and require legitimate reasons for evictions. So it sounds like Los Angeles, in general, the county is going to go the way of Santa Monica in terms of rent control. Plus, there's a Proposition 10 on the November ballot that would strengthen rent control efforts because it would get rid of the carve-out. Currently, the rent control around the state, it can't apply to single-family residences. It can't apply to older units. So what do we think? Are we okay going down the road of rent control in L.A. County?
I mean, rent control is...
shortages and lines and black markets, so there are some downsides.
Absolutely. Rent control is a broad concept that you can execute in many ways, and you can really apply it with a scalpel and just carve out the specific rules you want to get the specific results you want. It doesn't just have to be, and it isn't currently, a blanket slam, policy that covers everything. At the moment, rent control basically is this there's more to rent control just than limiting rents, but rent control is... It sounds like a price control, right? Like wages and price control is an extreme measure.
The price of housing controlled, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it is. But what it does is it caps the amount of the rent that rent can increase on a yearly basis, and that number is tied to the consumer price index, CPI, right? So it's if the CPI goes up more, then rent can go up more as a basket of gas and milk and eggs and all the other things that people have to buy go up because it's supposed to be a measure of inflation related to inflation, right?
You're saying it's fair to force the landlords to live with the increases that everybody else is putting up with for everything.
Well, yeah, basically. But what rent control is designed to do, or should be designed to do when done properly, is not just a handout, but it's a tool to mess with the economy, is to say, as housing markets get hot, real hot, and bubbles happen, we want to protect people, individuals, who are not able to move around in the marketplace and switch houses as quickly as landlords are able to raise the rent. We're not mobile people. We got to live near our jobs. We got to live near where our kids go to school. We got to live near our families. And if you don't protect the small slice of people at the bottom who are the most vulnerable to housing market bubbles and markets just getting ridiculously hot and then cooling off, when they get ridiculously hot, prices can increase and people can have nowhere to go for a little while. And it wasn't a real price increase. It was just the housing bubble, as frequently happens.
I got your protection right here.
No. So my answer is we don't need it everywhere.
Yeah.
We don't. Because it should really only be for protecting the people at the very bottom who are most vulnerable to housing bubbles.
Here's my protection idea. Because there are bad things about rent control, the shortages, the poor quality, the landlords don't help out, and so on, the black markets.
True.
Why don't we help people who need help by giving them money, give them a check? Rent control punishes people who are on the brink of bankruptcy in many cases. Folks who scrimped and saved for decades and they buy a 6-unit apartment and things aren't going so well, maybe not even because of them, and now they are going to go into bankruptcy because the plumbing goes up and all the other bills, air conditioning, but they can't raise the rent. Why punish them? Instead, let's all, through our taxes, our progressive taxes, help people who can prove that they
I'm on
need
board.
help in housing.
Yeah.
And now, similarly, then, let's go to minimum wage. Why should a struggling small business person who's about to go bankrupt or is going to go to automation and robots as an alternative, why should they pay $15 or $20 an hour to a person who deserves, according to the market, $5 an hour, because that's what they're really worth? Why not have the government pay these $5
Universal basic income, baby. Let's do it.
And let's not punish them through the minimum wage.
Sure.
Guess what? You know what the chance of getting rid of the minimum wage is? Zippo. It ain't going to happen.
Unless you replace it with UBI. It could happen.
When we come back, actress Carol Cook is joking about a Trump assassination. Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him, she said. What a class act she is. And, you know, Johnny Depp did it, didn't he, about a year or so ago? And it's interesting to see how people are reacting to her quasi-threat. I'm sure she's going to get a visit from the Secret Service. We're going to talk about that when we come back on The Royal Oak Show. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
Come to Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante to see memorabilia of movie stars and theatrical magic right in downtown Fullerton, California. The Art of the Great Masters in an Italian town square complete with storefronts of old, Italian butchers and cheesemongers, fruit and wine vendors, seamstresses showing their wares, the romance of Romeo and Juliet. Find our mystical Room of the Moon, and don't forget King Kong, Dracula, Frankenstein, and who knows what awaits you in the wine cellar. Enjoy the great food. We hand stuff our pastas, roll each and every tortellini, bake our own bread, and make all of our sauces fresh from our private stock of Sicilian family recipes. Pasta to seafood, chicken to award-winning pizzas, tiramisu flowing in from Rome. If you can't find something on our menu to tempt you, you don't like Italian food. Try our Sunday brunch, all you can eat, just $21.95. And Angelo's and Vinci's has been named the best Italian restaurant in Orange County 2 years in a row, and our owner has been named Restaurateur of the Year. Angelo's and Vinci's, Fullerton, California, 714-879-4022 or angelosandvinci's.com.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our Orlando correspondent Connor Oakes. So our second candidate for Moron of the Week, a couple of robbers in Ontario, Canada. They're robbing a cannabis store. And they storm in with cans of bear spray. Apparently bear spray is like mace up in Canada. That's popular. Get the blank down, they say.
Right.
Well, the owner grabs a glass bong and starts running after them, threatening to hit them over the head with a glass bong.
Amazing.
And they ran away like little screaming girls.
Yeah. Good.
And so, or Little Screaming Boys.
Sure, yeah.
That's better to do.
It's neutral, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think those are. Who do you think? You think they're the biggest morons of the week?
No, I think they made a smart, calculated move. I don't want to get brained by a bong. That's an ignoble way to go out. That's
brained by a bong.
All right, so we're gonna make the lady who insisted on being called a doctor.
Yes,
that
definitely.
Way.
She's the dumb
Yeah.
of the week.
We're going to talk about Carol Cook. You guys think it's okay to be so anti-Trump that you say, "Where is John Wilkes Booth?" when you need him?
No.
Is it just hyperbole? Is it just, you don't really think I'm 94? She's 94.
Well,
Am I really going to pick up a bazooka?
Yourself as,
She's 94, so she probably knew John Wilkes Booth personally.
Thank you. You're all week. Yeah.
It's not cool. Everything's got to be evaluated on an individual basis. Jokes are all subjective, blah, blah, blah. But come on. You can make a billion jokes about Trump. He's the easiest target in the world. He's the lowest dangling piñata, gorged on Diet Coke and Cheetos, and just smash him, and it'll all come out. You don't need to make assassination jokes.
Yeah,
What's the point?
I think you're right.
Come on.
Let's compromise and put Johnny Depp in prison and let Carol. We'll pardon Carol.
Okay, that seems
Cook.
fair. We hate Johnny anyway.
So a new book is out, and I love it. It's called The Coddling of the American Mind. It's by a guy named Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt, and Connor really likes it.
Yeah, big fan.
And what he talks about is how we got the safe space and the snowflakes, and he says that people really should be prepared by going to college and maybe be offended by this stuff. What I thought was interesting was that he quotes in his book a guy named Van Jones, who is very progressive, a CNN commentator, and he totally agrees with him. He says the idea of being physically safe on campus, fantastic, yes, but there's another view that is a horrible one. I need to be safe ideologically and emotionally. I just need to feel good all the time, and if somebody says something I don't like, that's a problem for everybody else, including the administration. I don't want you to be safe emotionally. I want you to be strong. I'm not going to pave the jungle for you. Put on some boots and learn how to deal with adversity. I'm not going to take the weights out of the gym. That's the whole point of the gym. This is the gym. Matt, if you could play our hot tub time machine, it's Mr. Jordan Peterson, another sort of right-winger. Fire away.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. Like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
So he's a right-winger, Jonathan Haidt's a right-winger, and Van Jones way on the left, all saying essentially the same thing, and saying, by the way, let's not have violence shutting down speakers. Let's let speakers, right-wing, left-wing, go on campus, but a lot of people today will not allow right-wingers get on the campus. I'm not saying they have a monopoly on violence. You have lots of violence. Trump is encouraging people to punch folks, but I don't think violence against either side is excusable.
No, you're right. Of course it isn't.
So, what about the safe space business? What about the snowflake idea?
This whole safe space snowflake, don't let the conservatives on campus thing, that's a political move. It's been created, ginned up out of nowhere on purpose. Most of the time, these universities are not overstepping the bounds. They create safe spaces to protect, for example, rape victims from having to sit through a lecture about rape. That is a normal, human, sane thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's been blown way out of proportion. It's not really occurring that censors are, shutting down conservative speakers. Mostly, it's really offensive people who, fraternize with Nazis who are trying to speak on college campuses, and the students are saying, no, I'm not into that.
Ken gets the last word. Do you feel you're in a safe space right now, Ken?
Right this second?
Right this second.
We'll answer that next week.
All right. So I think what we've learned today, ladies and gentlemen, is you don't go into a bong fight with a can of mace. That's the lesson. See you next week on the Royal Oak Show. Have a great week.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. And you can listen to us on nearly any platform and device. Download to your iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry episodes of What's Cookin'. And take Master Sommelier Michael Jordan with you to the wine shop so he can help you pick out that perfect bottle of wine. Stream episodes of the Sonoma Wine Report through our CRN app, TuneIn Radio, Nobex, Stitcher, UTunes, or AHA Radio. And start planning that unforgettable weekend in the wine country. They're in your corner on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and many other apps. And of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. For more information on where to listen to these great shows, along with many others, log on to crntalk.com.